Test, testing, test, testicles.
Hey going YouTubers, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're motoring along with the wagon like usual. This episode we're going to be getting stuck into the wiring, getting things working so we can drive it on the road, and we're also going to be doing some more brake work because I can't get away from working on brakes apparently. This might be helpful for some, you know, if you've dug a car out from the paddock that's been open to elements for a long time. Helpful for people who have just painted a car and, you know, have to go through the wiring. So yeah, this episode is going to be a bit of a long one. Firstly, I'd like to apologise for it. It's a bit poorer quality. It feels a bit slapped together in some spots. That would be because I'm trying to hide showing a full view of the car because it looks really good and I don't want to show it until the car's finished. So yeah, if it looks a bit slapped together, I do apologise for that. If it's helpful for some, you know, let me know in the comments. Always appreciate to hear, you know, if it's, you know, been worthwhile you watching. And yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so I think two of the problems that I'm having with my brakes not doing what they're supposed to do fully comes down to these two things. First thing, I'm trying to cobble shit together out of shit that I've found in the paddock. Second thing is that you'll see these two master cylinders are different. As you'll see, the big hole here is at the back, whereas this one, the big hole is at the front, and the small hole is at the front, and small hole is at the back. So with these, this one here with the small at the front and the big at the back, this is a HQ and HJ setup. So smalls are the rear, bigs are the front, so it's front to back, whereas, sorry, it's back to front. Whereas the HX and HZ style, the big one's at the front, so front's at the front and rear's at the rear. So I also think this master's had it, and this one's chrome, so as I say, chrome gets you home. Also, you'll be able to see with the proportioning valves, they're different. This is a X and Z. They've got a twin pin for the brake fail, whereas HJ and HQ have a single pin. And because these are around vice versa, these are around vice versa as also. So I think that's one thing that's stopping my brakes from working at their potential, me just cobbling together shit and trying to make it work, and you know, stuff that quite clearly doesn't work. So I had this one on, actually I had a new one on it, but if you follow my Facebook page, Shed Built Cars, you would have seen that I had massive brake problems with my white wagon, and I ended up stealing the new master from this and putting it on that. So I put the old one that was on this one here, which doesn't work, and now I've got this one here. I did try blading it up with this one, only bled the backs, but I had zero pedal whatsoever, so I'm just gonna put the right HJ stuff in, and hopefully that will clear up some of the problems. The brakes themselves should be fine. All the rubber lines are new. The calipers have been rebuilt. It's got new wheel cylinders. It's got new pads, well, near new pads. I've just found some good ones out in the paddock, but they're all been adjusted, and you know, the brakes were working. So all I can put it down to is this. So we're going to swap this over with the proper HJ unit and blade them up and see how we go. Alright, I've got my new master in, and the proportioning valve lines are all done up, and got fluid in there. I'm just going to jump in the car right now and give the pedal a few stabs and see what it's going to do, if I can fit myself in there. Bang it on anything. Alright. Now I could get nothing, or it could pump up, but let's give it a shot. No, there's a little bit of resistance there. I can hear something spraying. What the hell is that? Oh no, that's something definitely spraying out. And I don't know if you guys can see it, it is wet, not up here, but yeah, under the master. So that's shit. That master is fucked. Alright, I've given it a bit of a clean with some brake cleaner. Could get half a turn out of them, a bit more, so we'll jump in the car again and see if we can not make it spray fluid everywhere. It'd be really good if it wasn't, because it, yeah, those brakes, I was getting resistance on the pedal. No, I can still hear it. Yeah. Yeah, we've got a definite leak there. Yeah, no, there's more fluid there. That's just great. So, chrome is not going to get me home. I'm going to have to pull that off. I'm going to have to order a new master cylinder seat, HQ and HJ, because, yeah, that's not going to cut the mustard. Or I could go out to the paddock and dig around for God knows how long. I might do that because it's Christmas Eve today, and I obviously can't order anything for at least a week. So I don't really want to be pushing this car out. I want to be driving it again. So yeah, I might do that, and then we'll come back to it. Alright, so I set up the camera inside the engine bay while I was pumping the brakes for a second set of eyes, and it showed me this. So that was the problem all along. I knew it was too much of a coincidence. This is the third master I've put on it, and it's the third time it's done it, so it's a little too much of a coincidence for me. So yeah, it was a good thing I put the camera in here and filmed what I was doing, what the master was doing while I was in the car pumping the brakes, because I could have been changing master cylinders till the cows come home and still not fixed it. But swap this line out now, and hopefully we're good to go. Alright, so the line's changed out, brakes are bled up. I've started using a new tool to bleed brakes. I didn't bother filming it, but I'll put the tool up there. I didn't bother. Fuck! Fucking dickhead. Alright, so line's changed, brakes are bled up. I started using a new tool to bleed up brakes, but I didn't bother filming that. But I'll put the tool up there in the corner. I didn't bother filming it purely because I don't know how to use it, and I'm still learning it as I go with using it. The brakes have bled up pretty well, probably the best they've ever been, but still a little bit spongy, if you'll see in the video up top also. I'll probably give them another bleed before I put the car on the road, just for peace of mind. And I don't like operating off of good enough or she'll be right with brakes, because good enough or she'll be right is someone's kid running in front of your car, and nobody wants that. Saying that, I've got brakes. I've just put fuel in the tank for the first time, so we're gonna hook the battery up, hit the key, and see if the fuel system will work, which, you know, we'll see how that goes, shall we? That's way too much. Bit more. Hasn't quite made it to the fuel filter yet. Just as it made it to the fuel filter, it chunked out. That'd be fucking right. Did make it to the fuel filter? Yep. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. Something's about to go wrong. This thing's never ran that nice. Brake pedal's not returning. No. Yeah, I think I've got a... I had them on accidentally, but I think I've got some wiring issues. Alright, I didn't get to film my verdict from my little drive last night. After it got dark pretty quick, and the bugs started setting in the shed. So it's a new day today, Christmas Day actually. It's currently just before 8 PM and it's still 35 degrees in the shed, so it's going to be nice and hot in here for me to work in. As you would have heard, the brake pedal stuck down. The lights decided to wake up. So we are going to check the booster, and I'll show you how to check boosters to see if they're making vacuum. Another thing that you would have seen as I drove out and drove in, the headlights were flickering. I'll post up in a video that what they were doing. I think it should be an easy fix. Everything works when it works. Everything works except one tail light, but they're just very intermittent. But what it's doing is when the car's sitting, I can hold onto the shifter, and when it's in park, I can move it up a little bit, and it completes the circuit, and the lights will come on. But if I go through the gears a few times, just give it they stay on for some reason. But yeah, I think the column has to be dropped, and I think I must be pinching something in there. Tried the indicators, they don't work, but judging off the fact that I have parkers, I know I have power and the ground works to the parkers, so it should be fairly simple to sort out the indicators. First things first, we're going to have a look at this booster and see if it's making vacuum or not, or if we have to dig further. I'm very certain that the booster's not making vacuum though. And then we're going to have a look at the fuse panel and on the inside and see what is going on with the indicators. Also, I have no dash lights when the headlights are on, so the dash cluster has to eventually come out, so I'm not real fussed about having to remove the brake booster or having to remove or drop the steering column, because you have to drop the steering column to remove the booster. But I want to try and sort the indicators before I do that, just so that I'm not digging in with wiring when I don't have to. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, now that you've got this devil's clip off that I've just got over here, what you want to do is hit the key and run the engine. Make sure it's in park. I'm going to give it a sec to build up vacuum. Hopefully you can hear it. Now when I pull this hose off, it should make a whoosh noise. And if it doesn't make a noise, it's not building vacuum. So here we go. Now that's building vacuum. Do it one more time. So now I know that's making vacuum, so now I've got another problem, which isn't as simple. Alright, so this is making vacuum because when I pull this off, it wants to kill the engine, so it's making enough vacuum for the motor. But I'm wondering if there's a leak here, because if I go like this, that gap opens up and it's quite wobbly in there. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is change this and maybe put a hose clamp on that end over there, because yeah, I don't see it being anything else related other than the booster, because the brakes pedal works fine with the engine not running, but with the engine running it holds, so it has to be vacuum related. But while I have a think about that, because I can't really buy parts at this given moment, I'm going to get into this guy. Now, as you can see, the connections are a bit rusty in places and same with the fuses. So I'm going to clean all them up. You have to remember I did pull this car out of a paddock, so that's expected to look like that. Also going to change this relay if I can find him. Where are you? Because this relay up here is the flasher relay. If I can grab it. So I'm going to change him over to one I found in the paddock. Took me a good minute to find, you know, a handful of fuses and a relay. So I'm going to clean up that terminal, change him over. Hopefully we get something at the indicator. All right, so it's now the 28th of December. I've got a date every time I film, because you know, I'm working with wiring and I could spend a whole day running around in circles, which I have been. But this is what the car currently looks like. Now, if you look here, between this part of the column and this part of the dash frame, you'll see what's happening. I have to hold the shifter all the way up, just like when the headlights were working, when the shifter was only working all the way up. But watch this, ready? No, it's not going to do it now. There we go. Come on, you tow rag. There we go. So that. There we go. So this is getting power. So this is live currently. Can't feel it.
It only earths out when this touches it. But saying that, this is unplugged for the indicator. The only thing that's plugged in is down here. Hopefully you can see that. You can see my leg. Oh, fantastic. Alright, so everything's, apart from the ignition, is unplugged from the column. This is an indicator. But the column, when earthed out on here, is completing a circuit. For what? God knows what. I'm just going to have to keep digging. I'm hoping it's something to do with the headlights. But I'm going to have to rip the column out and just chase wires. So I might get back to you in a few more days. I further investigated this is from the inside of the column, and if you have a look here, nothing's on there, and that is for the horn. The contact ring touches that when you press the button, and on this side you'll see that nobody's there, which if you look at this one is an earth. So, and same again with the contact ring. This one's a bit sticky, but hopefully that will sort out a problem. Probably not the problem, but it might sort out a problem. So I'm going to stick the new wiring in the column. This one, I'm going to strip this column down because it's got some good bits on it, and then we'll put it in the car. Alright, so here we are again, it's all back in. We've got the test light in there, and as you can see, when I've got the shifter up, it illuminates in that one and this one. But if I push the shifter out, it doesn't do it, only when it's in. Out, pushed up, in. So I'm at a total loss because apart from this, there's nothing electrical to do with the shifter. The only thing electrical is down at the end of that rod, and that controls ignition, which this isn't an ignition problem, this is a shifter problem. So I think this is coming out again. I want to try another one in here because I'm not understanding what's going on anymore. So I'll go and have a dig and find another one. Let's see what we come up with, because this ain't making sense. We'll use this one for reference. This is a 3-speed column though, but I don't see any electricals in there. Not at all. The only thing that's electrical is this guy. Unless it's shorting out because of this. I mean, I can always try that one on. Kind of, it's the only thing that's electrical on a column. Obviously your rod comes out from that to here for your key, but yeah, I'm not understanding this. Alright, finally got them working. I'm not a wiring guy in any sense or shape or form, but I am an absolute glutton for punishment, so I got this one done. It wasn't a power wire, nothing was broken or exposed. I did not have a ground to body, so ground to body, and they're doing what they're supposed to do now. But the car looks like this, and I've got no indicators. I'll show you what they're doing. This is my next issue. Working fine, working fine. I think I've got some playing around to do there. Oh, tomorrow's job. Alright, so we're going to jump ahead a day or 2 or 10, and this is what we've got. Also have this. I'll still run it through it with you. I had to do a tremendous amount of cleaning in here for the contact points. I think what was happening, it was just getting a dicky contact. So I got in there, scraped it with a flat blade screwdriver, with a wire wheel, and a bit of sandpaper. I was using 1000. Just doing anything in there to clean it up. I also went around the whole car and cleaned up all my grounds. That being said, I haven't got anything at the back end, but I've run the test light on there and I'm getting power to brakes, tail lights, indicators. So that's telling me that every globe that I've stolen from out in the paddock is no good, and I've already taken all the good globes out of the paddock for previous builds. Also I have my oil light on. I'm pretty sure that's because it's not connected, because I've got a Speco gauge going to him. But yeah, we're pretty much all done here. All we've got to do is the wiper motor. My ignition wasn't on. Alright, let's try this again. Nothing. Nothing. Whew, you better believe I got nothing. That light up, or was it just reflection? Let's try you there. Oh, there we've got something. Alright, we've got power to that one. Had me earth in the wrong position. We've got something here. We've got it on this side. Yep, power. Oh. That's good enough for me. Alright. Oh yeah. Alright. I might be getting in a little bit early because it's New Year's, but
me and Mr. Hammer are gonna have a party.
alrighty, some good news and some bad news. I got the cow van off. Absolutely chockers full of leaves. If you're wondering why the cows rust out on these cars, there's your answer. This wiper pivot moves pretty freely. This screw's actually loose. This one was seized, but I managed to break it free. You can't see the wiper pivot. But yeah, very happy about that, because to get this off, you have to go put your hand up the vent, get your 3 screws if you don't snap them off, which you probably will. And yeah, they are one of the jobs that are, 3 screws that takes 5 hours. Bad news, my wiper motor doesn't work. So I know I'm getting power to it. I know I've got a better ground set up. So I'm just gonna get another one, plug it in, see if I can get it working. But sun's going down. So it's either a tomorrow job or I do it quickly. Alrighty, I've got my 5th wiper motor to trial. I didn't get one working last night. I tried to, but ran out of daylight. The bugs were filling up the shed, and yeah, so I've tried another one this morning, or another two this morning, and now I've got this one. Cleaned out the cow vent, taken the old wiper motor off. Just getting things tidier. So let's try this guy out and see what he does. Beautiful, that's the slowest speed. And that's the highest speed. Listen to that. It's like clockwork. Beautiful. Good news and bad news. Bad news is that's borrowed and I have to give it back. Good news is I know that the wiring works to the starter motor and everything will work there. So yeah, very happy with that. You just don't know what you're getting into with these old cars when you start messing around with wiring. I mean, they've all been parted out for a reason, so you know, you don't know. Normally it's rust, normally it's, you know, engine, trans. Something's wrong with it. Sometimes it's electricals, and you know, this car sat open to the elements for 6 years in my ownership, and the most problems I had were the tail lights, which I just replaced that section along the back, and grounding and power issues. But, or contact issues, not power issues. Power issues were fine. So yeah, very happy with that. I'll find another one that works, clean him up and paint him, and then we'll get the squirties working. Beautiful. Alright, so I've got my wiper motor in, and I'm looking for some wires that go to a washer bottle pump. There is none at all in this car, and that would be because originally this car had an older wiper motor. Oh, where's a good one? An older wiper motor like this one, and has this T-piece. Now behind this T-piece is a diaphragm, so my washer bottle wouldn't have had a pump behind it, because as you know, a diaphragm pulls fluid and a pump pushes fluid, exactly like your fuel pump. This one's a diaphragm, and that pulls the fuel from the tank, whereas like an electric click-clack fuel pump is mounted at the tank or behind the tank, and it pushes fuel to the carby. So we have to wire up the switch and power to go to the washer bottle. We'll get rid of this because this is no good to me now. So what I did, I don't know when they went from the change from diaphragm to pump. I had a look at a whole bunch of other cars in the paddock, and I thought it was just HQ, HJ, but I found a late HX. It's actually off my work here. You normally see that in the behind scenes, it's just that white 1 tonner. I replaced the main loom in that, and that had the washer bottle pump wiring added in at a later date. I know it was added in at a later date because I've got it right here, and it's got one connection there and another beautiful looking connection there. I think I did that many moons ago. That's just twisted. So I'm going to show you guys how to wire it in so you can make it work off the switch. I don't really like adding in additional buttons and whatnot. It's not a rocket ship. So first things first, you're going to have to want to locate your dark blue wire right here. This would have plugged into the diaphragm on the old one, and that's going to be your connector for your switch. That's got 0 volts going to it, and then you're going to want to find your switch here with your yellow wire, and that provides you 12 volts. So essentially what I'm just going to do, well, for viewing purposes, I'm just going to shove a wire in there, run it to my pump, click it on here, run it to my pump. I could hardwire this one in, but because this car will probably get some changes, if the wiper motor shits itself, I will, and you know, I'm just finding another one that I need, I'll just leave this as a spade connector, so that if I need to change it back to a diaphragm setup, I can. So I'm gonna wire this up, show you guys how to do it. This is just going to be a temporary thing because the wiring I've got here is a pissy little 5 amp wiring to 10 amp to connection, and I'd really like to run 10 amp all the way to the washer bottle, but I don't have any that's not green or green, and I don't really want to run the same color for positive and negative, so we're just going to get it working, and then I will make it a bit nicer when I've got some better wires. But for you guys and for viewing purposes, we'll get it wired up and working. So first thing I need to do is I need to get rid of these whatever connections. All right, I had some additional underlying electrical issues. I ended up trying to get a better feed, so I put some connectors in throughout. As I said, blue to blue. That one was originally for the, that went into the diaphragm there, and yellow from the ignition, yellow from the washer, or whatever your new washer wiring is. I'm going to keep it yellow just for, you know, keep it simple, stupid. Teed them in to that spade connector just for now, and then put the other connector on the other end of that wire, and we have water pissing everywhere because it's not hooked up properly, but it works, so I'm very happy with that. I'll yeah, like I said, I'm going to rewire it from this plug to that plug with 10 amp wiring. That's what the rest of the wiper motor wiring is, so I want to keep it the same instead of going from, you know, pissy speaker wire to, you know, the original wiring and then 50 connections there. It's really not a good way to have a connection, because I could have it earthing out on the firewall and you know, blowing a fuse or catching a light. So yeah, I'm going to tidy that up and then mount it and it will be all done. But yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's what you need to do when converting to a pump style washer bottle from the diaphragm style. So it's all done. I've still got a bit of pissing about to do with this. So there's a couple of wires there. This one's meant to have 3 to go to the relay, and I was wondering, why have I got 2 horns? That's because one of these have slipped out. So this one here needs to go into the relay, and then this bloke here goes into the horn. So your horn relay normally sits about there with your wiper motor. So yeah. Alright, I think we're about done here. Apart from mounting a few things up and farting around, fixing up wiring, making it look a bit more professional instead of just functional. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this thing. It was relatively hassle-free. I mean, it wasn't without its hassles, but you know, I was able to chase up wiring and get it to work and whatnot. So yeah, I hope you liked the video and can take something away from it. Leave a comment, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. I ended up doing this over my Christmas break, and there was a few hot days, over 40. So yeah, it was great fun working on wiring in over 40-degree heat, but we've got it done. I'm fairly happy. I've got a cool couple of days coming up, so I'll be able to finish it up in them and get back to painting the bonnet and doing the rust on the tailgate. So until then, take it easy. All right, let's check this. Fucking hell, where am I?